Welcome back to Inside YKTR. This episode is brought to you by Kelly Partners Accounting Firm. How important is accounting to your business, Isaac?
Yeah, king. So Danny's like the official accountant of YKTR, YKTR Sports. Me personally, any other business I try and build, he's kind of like a big brother to me in this entrepreneur space. And accounting's one of those things you have to understand. Like a lot of people go into business and they want to build, like, say, a clothing brand. They're like, if I design clothes, things will sell. But there's a saying in business that, like, you got to be a lead in storytelling. You got to understand your Excel spreadsheets as well and understand your P&L. So it's all that boring stuff that I don't like, and that's the stuff I give to him as well. And the thing I love about Danny, he generally cares. He actually cares about your business. He's not there to try and take your money. He's there to help your business grow. So hit him up. He's a gun. So let's get into it.
Very important. So, yeah, we're back inside YKTR. Welcome back. It's been a fun week in the office, Jackson being here. But before we kick off, just want to say hi to Jordan Simi, who's sitting in his car.
He watches this, eh?
He watches this. So shout out, bro. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the views. Make sure you're liking and subscribing.
Might be bagging you today because you've been really, really good. So shout out Jordan Simi. You've been on fire.
So, yeah, well, it's been a mad week in the office. Obviously, we had the hoodies last week. That flew, eh?
Yeah, that was good. And it's cool that we sort of mentioned it the week before where we were like, we don't feel like our marketing's been good enough leading up to drops because we pump so much other content and we forget about the thing that actually makes us money as well. So that was cool. And, man, we really nailed the execution of the colors, really nailed the marketing, and like they sold out like 14, 15 minutes in both colors as well. So that's the quickest we've ever sold out in anything. But it was crazy. It was cool. It was cool to have a plan, have an idea, have an execution, and see the result. And those G'd up boys were in the office. They're about to move next door to us, and they're like, "Fuck, I always get nervous before drops and stuff." And I go, I don't get nervous." And then they go, "Good luck." And I was like, "I don't believe in luck. Like, I believe in like preparation." So it was good to get that. And like you won't have those all the time, but it was a nice little pat on the back in terms of business.
Yeah, and like all the marketing and whatnot leading up to it, which it's cool because it's like. It's just like we're just coming in the office almost like being us, but then the byproduct of that is that it's the marketing for what we do as well. Like had all the boys wearing all the gear. I thought the shoot with Zane, all the content coming off for the back of that. Sometimes you'll like just upload a photo of just like a Zane wearing the kit on Instagram and it doesn't necessarily get the likes or engagement that you would think because it's just a photo of someone wearing a T-shirt, but like putting up like the Fanta crew neck, it did really well. Same with the Lilac crew.
I think the names are important of like what cut like Fanta, like Seafoam. Like we could have called that like green. Like you know what I mean? And sort of people attach themselves to different types of names. The other part of it is like you do need a bottom part of your funnel. So if you look at someone, say like Denon, like he sells alcohol. Like he's content up the top, and then when you filter down his sales funnel, it's alcohol. But for us, it's close. So yeah, it was really cool. But you're right. The marketing was spot on. And then after that next day, I said, no, this is going to be the benchmark or the minimum of the stuff that we got to do moving forward as well. So pretty exciting drop this week. Not everyone's going to be able to get it. Let's not talk about it. Yeah, no, let's not. Cool. It's going to be cool.
Yeah, got a cool plan. Pretty much what Ice is alluding to without saying anything is got some exciting ideas for content for this week's drop.
Yeah, and there's only going to be so much of it, so only a couple of people are going to get it.
Yeah, exactly. So, which is cool. Shh. We've signed on with the potty sponsors. That's been a fun, real good communication back and forth with them. Good network to be a part of as well. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like this podcast space is going to be huge in the next couple of years, and we want to be the guys that are kind of the main guys in this space, whether it be like culture around like and have people underneath our network as well. But the big part of that is trying to monetize it. So I've never struggled to monetize my own podcast because I know I've been around a while. People understand my journey. They want to be a part of that. And the hardest thing about sponsorships is people that don't have the foresight of putting advertising spend on a podcast where they'd rather put it into mail or like we talk about this all the time. The rugby league sponsors, like it costs like $25,000 to have a sign on the side of a rugby league field. And like no one ever looks at a sign and go, fuck, I feel like a bit of YKTR clothes, you know what I mean? Or I think like the ones behind the coach's box are like $100K and they get to go meet the boys. So there's a lot of wasted money going out there, and sponsorship ones and the businesses that got foresight are starting to do it on podcasts, and there's a lot of money coming into it. It's coming from radio, it's moving over to this podcast space, but just to have someone that sort of knows what they're doing. We've only signed a year deal with them as well, but they've been awesome, man. They're like, it's like this week I'm like, hey, can you try and find like a couple of sponsors for Geordie? Like, I just got an offer yesterday from my podcast, which is probably the biggest offer I've ever got as well. And he goes, oh, do you want to take it or not? So what they do is just throw you an offer, and if it aligns with your brand, or if it's not too bad, like you can say yes or no, and they put the ad reads on top of it, and they take a clip from it. But they go out and do all the hard work. They've got the contacts with Spotify, and ideally, like if you're thinking about exits, like all business should do, like YKTR Sports is something that could potentially sell to like a Spotify or someone down the line. If we make enough content and they see like that could be the way out, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's not like I'm looking to sell or anything like that, but you want to move your brand to get yourself in a position with those types of people.
Yeah, there hasn't really been many examples in like Australia or New Zealand of brands that have done that. It's sort of been, I think obviously everything sort of starts in the US first and then sort of filters across.
Yeah, there's a long tail that comes across here.
You look at, there's so many examples like Bill Simmons in The Ringer with Spotify. Obviously the main one is Rogan. You've got the Joe Budden, where he was with Spotify, then he left Spotify. Now he's got his own individual network. It feels like it's cool to be part of something that's like early days in this world, because it's just going to be the future.
If you look at content, like if you look at all the big contenters, like you look at Logan Paul, you look at David Dobrik or anyone like that, they've all moved from daily vlogging and every single day to podcasts. They've all got podcast networks now, so there's a bit of a change in it, and you got to recognize these trends. You got to understand these changes and move towards it quick. And I was talking to my friend last night, and she wants to start a podcast as well. I was like, oh, you can use our platform, blah blah blah, whatever. But you want to be the leader in that space early. Like the Joe Rogan gets all the benefits because he was the first. Like he's very early, and he's interviewed all the best people, so he gets the biggest chunk of the. So when it comes to Australia, you want to be moving towards that direction as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of people been grinding out there for years, like with podcasts that, like the foresight that they had like 5 years ago to be getting their reps in doing podcasts before it was even really a thing.
No gatekeepers as well. Like you could start a podcast. Jackson could start a podcast. Fucking Tom, Dick and Harry down the street could start a podcast. To get on radio, you got to be like, have a bit of talent, and to be an actor back in the day, you have to have a bit of talent. But what the internet has done is broken down these walls where anyone can do anything. Like anyone can start a vlog, anyone can start a business on Shopify, anyone can do a podcast. So that's the exciting part of it about it. Everyone's got a fucking chance. The other side of that, whole bunch of people are going to come in, they're going to be terrible. So it's going to be like a Royal Rumble. So a lot of people are going to come in, but there's only a few that are going to survive as well. So that's the difference.
Yeah, 100%. And then sort of podcasts are in Studio 2. Sitting here at the moment. Studio 2. Hopefully we'll have Studio 5, 6, 7. You never know. We've got some ideas to potentially... Well, you've got presented an idea that is pretty cool last week that you told Jackson and I about.
Yeah, but before, like I think even before you guys were here, I always thought like we've got an office space next door that's being leased at the moment. And I think it was even before you started. I was like, fuck, I'd love to get in here and take over this space as well. So it was the idea that I had in my idea like a year and a half. And then obviously we got to link up with Campy and see his sort of office space. And I'm like, oh, no, do we really need it right now? And then it just sort of popped up as well. So I remember writing it down maybe about a year and a half ago and had the idea of it as well. So been offered, or not offered, but potentially got a chance at an office space next door, which would be ideal, which means we wouldn't have to move too much and create a mad space in there for YKTR Sports, where it could potentially be 3 different podcast studios. But I'm coming at it from a business side of it, like ideally would like someone to sponsor the studio as well, so you're not losing money from your bottom line. We could also be in a position where it's quite neutral, where you can sort of rent it out to a lot of people as well. So I remember listening to I Am Athlete, that podcast, and Rick Ross was on it. Mm-hmm. So when he was saying like he buys assets like a Rolls Royce, but he'll lease that out for like $15,000. Yeah. So he only buys things for the business where he can actually make money off it as well. So ideally, it looks cool. It'd look cool if we had our own little office space and podcast space, and it was decked out, and which I really want to do. But then the business side of it is like, shit, can we get someone to sponsor it so we're not losing money from the bottom line? Can we lease it out to cover our rent for the week? Can we actually make money off it? That's what a smart business person would do. So that's where I'm at right now. About to go check it. We've seen inside it today. Have you been inside it?
I've only looked in from the windows. Oh, maybe.
Remember that guy showed us through one time? His name was Luke as well.
Oh yeah, there's so many Lukes around here, man.
It's a very common name, eh?
Yeah. So yeah, that should be exciting. And I think like a podcast studio doesn't have to be anything crazy. just having the right setup. And like when I look back and I was like, you look at Kempy's studio and then you're like, oh, and then you just look at this and it's pretty much the same thing.
This is cool. This is cool.
Yeah. So you don't, sometimes you think about and you want the biggest and you want the best, but also you want to have something that's versatile and can really work, you know?
And like right now, if we do a podcast, or say fucking Jordan and Simi do a podcast, Simi and Scope do a podcast in here, like it's not really soundproof, this whole place. So it kind of like fucks up your workflow. And obviously you guys know how I work. Like I like to be on my own and door close and sort of stuff like that. So it sort of eliminates, like, it's not very efficient. Like, looks cool, looks great, got the cool TV, got the signs, white walls, looks sick, but it's just not very efficient. So ideally, like, if we had that and we could be running 5-6 podcasts a day and we hire someone, just that's their job to run after like podcasts and stuff, it could be a good little business venture.
Yeah, and like even like the Good Bitch Girls are now using the studio in the city.
They'll come here, I reckon.
Yeah. When they were talking about it yesterday, I was chatting to them because Simi's podcast with them went live this morning. So go listen to that because they were just on Ice's podcast.
Really good podcast. Make sure you go check them out.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, just the opportunities for people like that to come in and use it would be mad,
especially those starting up ones. So like it's easy for Scope and sort of Simi go, oh, come to a podcast because they've built they're walking into a nice studio space and we've got the bright lights and the cool cameras and we've got the TV and we've got all the equipment and you get around taking the photos. So it's a really cool experience. And even Mark Boris, when he come in, he goes, oh, this is like really professional, And everyone that comes in to go, this is a very cool setup. Like it's comfortable. We offer them a drink. You know what I mean? It helps where if you're starting a podcast on your own, it's a little bit hard. Like the Good Bitch Girls are like, oh, we started ours from our lounge floor. So, and it's hard to get people over, and that's when people get really flaky with it as well. So if you've got a nice little setup, it's easier to get guests in as well. Better your guests, better your podcast, better the numbers, better the growth.
On the weekend, we all got after a little bit. Had the SPC party on Saturday with Scope. What were your thoughts on the day and getting after it with all of us?
Yeah, no, that was cool. We had a really good time. That's something that we're going to move towards a lot more. We're going to build out an event section of ours. It's weird because like initially when Scope started his punters club and all the people that actually bought merch, I was like, oh, he's going to bring a whole bunch of new demographic in, which is going to be great. And when I measured the numbers up against our normal YKTR customers, there's only 8 new customers at the start. So obviously his punters club goes really, really well. But what sort of happened is like a lot of them are YKTR fans, and then they've kind of just gone down into these sort of subcategories as well. So some like me, some like for the business side, some like Scope for the punting side, some like Simi because he just talks rubbish. So it's kind of starting to divide off, and I hope these guys can bring more in. But it was cool to sort of meet all these guys, and I went around and had a chat one-on-one with like pretty much all of them, and like, all of them knew like and I said to him, it's weird when you're in the office on your own a lot of the time, or with you two boys, you press enter, you don't realize how far your content can actually go. But some people like knew way too much, like knew everything about me, the journey. But like I put my life out there as well. So, but it was cool. It was cool to sort of have a beer with those guys, shake a hand, tell a few stories about the office, about footy. That's what they want to know. They just want to feel a part of it, and I feel like they did, and they had a really good time. So, shout out to Scope for organising that as well. But definitely going to be plenty more events coming up this year.
Yeah, it was like an idea that we had like last year.
Even the guys knew shit about you boys, eh?
It was crazy. Like I was just going to piggyback off the back of you saying you think it's weird and you've played first grade and stuff. I got blokes coming up to me knowing everything about like what I do, and I don't publish anywhere near as much content as you do in that sense. But people are just nosy and they just, oh, you used to be a mortgage broker, and I was like, oh yeah.
What's the interest rate?
Yeah, and it's like it's cool, and like Jackson obviously he's behind the camera today, but knowing Jackson's story about how he's just moved here and everything like that, and
someone asked you about your wife, eh, Jackson?
Yeah.
How's Crystal, man? Oh, yeah.
What? So, no, it was definitely a giggle, and like it was a good night, and looking forward to being able to put on more events like that. We've had some behind the scenes conversations on what other things we can sort of venture into, and
we've already got these ideas anyway. We've written these out. It's just about executing them now and making people feel a part of the brand if they don't already. A lot of them do, like they know your journey, know my journey, but and they've got something tangible that they can support us with in terms of clothes, and they're fucking mad clothes at the same time. But then the next level is like, fuck, how do we go do the meet and greets and all that sort of stuff, or get 2 people to come to a footy game with us and shout them beers and a fucking snitty. Just basic shit, man.
Yeah,
it'd be cool.
Podcast live events too.
Podcast live again, that's going to be a big one. So hopefully we're the first in that space in our little area as well. That's going to be really cool. So exciting.
See what we can do. And all is going well at YKTR for once.
Grateful. No drama around the office. And yes, Simi's responded really, really well. Someone said on the last inside YKTR, all you fucking do is shit on Scope and Simi. And my response was to Scope when it was like, hey Scope, I need you to fucking upload content that's about yourself. That's going to help you get more views. That's individually going to help your brand grow. Like, is that so hard? So there's going to be plenty more drama. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 8 of us, like, all up, you know what I mean? Plus Natasha, like, that's quite a lot of people. We're always not always going to get along, and I know it's my job to sometimes, it's going to be crack the whip. I don't want to be that guy, but I'm more than happy to do it if we need to. But Simi's been really, really great. He's bounced back really good. He's not sort of moping about. Scope's been really, really good anyway. So exciting times. 10 and again, still probably our best content as well, easily. So that's just got sponsored. So that's a cool vibe as well. But yeah,
Literally.
Yeah,
It's a vibe.
Yeah, it's a vibe. Shout out vibe. But yeah. All is going well until next week. Something will fuck up.
Yeah, but even when like that, it's still going well. It's like we're just inside YKTR. The reason we're doing the show is to give everyone like a bit of an insight as to like what actually goes on in here, because you can only vlog so much, and you're not going to be like going, hey Simi, where's your content, and like on a vlog, you know what I mean? It's something that you can articulate in person, and it's it's just sort of like almost like Ice's audio diary of what's gone on in the week is probably the best way to describe what
and
we're
it's
trying
so
to do
fucking
here.
Transparent, like, and that's where people get like a little bit upset about it. They're like, oh, you're picking on, yeah, but we've also dropped like 15 other pieces of content this week that are hyper positive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So people like to sort of nitpick on these certain different types of things, and then but it's just like some people don't like this content, but I love it. I fucking, it's real. Like Dave Portnoy show, that's my favorite show at the moment. I listen to it all the time. I just love the dynamic between him and the workers, because it's real. Like, you don't always get along. Like, you go towards a certain dream, and that's like reminds me of footy so much. Like, we're doing this now, got a few of the boys in, we all get along, but we want to work, but then there's going to be blow ups and stuff as well. That's just how I've grown up, and that's just how I expect it to be as well. And just, none of it's personal. Like, no, like because me, Scope, Simi, me, Scope, Chico, and Normie, like, we could all blow up and just be sweet. And that's just the place we'll sort of come through. So I don't want it to be like fuck you. Like, I don't want to spray you out, but we're going to have disagreements.
Yeah, 100%. That's what any business is, and we're just trying to be.
What's it like in any other? Is there fights? Was there much fights at stuff in that over?
No, it's a lot of bitchy
it?
Yeah, it's bitchy culture. More like behind the scenes where it's like...
See, I'd hate that more. I'd hate I'd hate to hear like, oh, Lukey's saying something about Jack. Like, I'd hate that more. Yeah. That'll piss me off more.
Yeah, but don't tell Jackson what I've been saying.
Because that's the thing with the 4 boys. They're like, they all come to me and they all complain about the other person. Yeah. None of it's ever big. It's like
Melbourne filter, man.
Yeah, picking up dog shit or like, oh, you should have seen this. So.
Yeah. But yeah, this is another episode of Inside YKTR.
Sorry. We're going to look at building up that like behind the scenes of you and Jackson content as well.
Yes.
We're going to build that into life. How many in YKTRs? Life at YKTR, where it's not just always going to be me dragging the camera around, because I don't really want it to be, but sort of behind the scenes of. We even start this week, with the stuff that we've been working on.
Yeah,
be cool.
Yeah, we could take it back to bring back The Office.
Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
That was the initial series we started, and then
fuck, I remember I was like, I want to vlog every day, and
I'm like, dude, I don't know how to vlog yet.
A week later, fucking drained.
Yeah. But no, so yeah, until next week, guys, thanks for subscribing, thanks for watching, and we will be back.
Pay attention, 6 o'clock, be there, don't miss out, trust me.
Thursday,
trust me. Like and subscribe.